Valentina smirked as the EMP pulse spread across the floor. She expected Howard's fancy armor to shut down instantly, but something unexpected happened. Instead of shutting down, the suit absorbed the energy. The red and silver plating glowed brighter, pulsing with new power. Howard blinked inside the helmet. Did that just, EMP energy redirected? Power levels increased. Activating combat enhancement, electric whips. 2 glowing whips of crackling blue electricity extended from Howard's gauntlets. They hummed with raw power, arcing through the air like living lightning. Ward's smirk vanished. That's not good. Before anyone could react, the auto-combat mode kicked in. Howard's body moved on its own. With a sharp flick of his wrists, the whips lashed out. The first strike sent 2 Hydra agents flying backward, their weapons sparking as they hit the ground. Another agent charged at him from the side. Howard spun, the whips snapping out in a precise arc. The electric tendrils wrapped around the soldier's rifle and yanked it from his hands before slamming him against the wall. The remaining agents hesitated. Too late, Howard lunged forward, moving faster than he ever could on his own. The whips danced through the air, striking with pinpoint accuracy. 1 agent went down. Then another. And another. Valentina took a step back. Okay, that's definitely not Stark's usual tech. Ward raised his rifle, aiming carefully. Doesn't matter. Howard didn't give him a chance to finish. With a powerful crack, the whip struck Ward's weapon, frying it instantly. Sparks flew as the gun overheated and exploded in his hands. He stumbled back, cursing. The last of the Hydra agents tried to run. Howard's suit didn't let them. The whips lashed out, knocking them off their feet. One by one, they collapsed, unconscious. Bang! Bang! Fury shot Ward and Valentina, targeting their knees as they tried to climb down an open vent. Howard threw 2 electric arcs toward them, zapping the shit out of them. In seconds, it was over. Howard stood in the center of the wreckage, the electric whips retracting back into his gauntlets. He exhaled. Okay. That was awesome. Fury holstered his pistol and stepped out from cover, eyeing the fallen Hydra agents. Do I even want to know what that thing is? In due time, Howard replied. Hermes activated the scanner, pinpointing all the Hydra agents in that helicarrier. There were still 30 agents left. Howard extended his arm. The holographic map of the carrier appeared with red dots. The agents looked like moving toward the containment area. Fury's jaw tightened as he studied the map. The remaining Hydra agents were moving with purpose, their destination clear. The containment area, he muttered. They're after the damn symbiote. Howard clenched his fists, his armor's energy whips flickering for a moment before fully retracting. Of course they are. Because why just try to kill us when you can also unleash a highly dangerous, world-ending alien parasite while you're at it? Fury tapped his earpiece. Hill, talk to me. What's your status? Static crackled for a second before Maria Hill's voice came through, strained but still controlled. Not great. We're barely holding them back. They're throwing everything at us. If you don't get here soon, we won't be able to stop them from breaching containment. Howard checked the map again. We're about 3 floors above you. If I override the security locks, I can get us an express elevator down there. Fury gave him a sharp look. Do it. Fast. Howard extended his arm, his suit interfacing with the helicarrier's systems. The AI flickered through hundreds of security protocols in seconds. Override successful. Elevator access granted. The reinforced doors at the end of the hall slid open. Howard and Fury rushed in. As the elevator began its descent, Fury reloaded his pistol. What the hell does Hydra want with the symbiote? They can't seriously think they can control it. Howard shook his head. I don't know, but if they bond that thing to one of their soldiers, we're looking at a whole new level of nightmare. The elevator jolted to a stop, containment level reached. The doors slid open to chaos. Maria Hill and a handful of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were pinned behind makeshift cover, firing at Hydra soldiers who had already breached part of the containment area. The once sterile white walls were scorched with gunfire, and alarm lights flashed red across the corridor. At the far end of the room stood a reinforced chamber, a massive, cylindrical containment unit surrounded by blast-proof glass. Inside, a swirling mass of black goo pulsated violently against its restraints. The symbiote knew something was happening, and it was excited. Before they could take action, an explosion rocked the helicarrier, sending a shockwave that rattled the floors beneath their feet. The hull trembled as a massive hole ripped through the side of the containment chamber, the sound of twisting metal and shattering glass filling the air. A shield aircraft, its nose crumpled and mangled, had been blasted into the side of the carrier, forcing its way through the outer walls. The front glass shattered in a spray of shards, and from the wreckage, a figure emerged, Peggy Carter. Fury's eyes widened in disbelief as she stepped from the wreckage, dust swirling around her. Her uniform was the same as always, but her stance, her energy, everything about her screamed like she'd just walked out of another time. She looked just like her old photos from when she was 25 or 30. "You've got to be kidding me," Fury muttered, shaking his head. Peggy raised her fist, cracked her neck, and wiped some of the dust off her face. "Nice to see you too, Nick." Howard, standing beside Fury, couldn't help but smile despite the chaos. "You're looking younger," he said, with just a hint of amusement. "Looks like the serum worked. Now, all that's left is to stop these Hydra bastards." "Long story," Peggy shot back, eyes scanning the area. "I'll explain later. For now, let's kick Hydra's butt." Fury didn't have time to argue. His eyes went to the Hydra agents recovering, and then to the black, writhing mass of symbiote inside the containment chamber. The thing was thrashing violently. The chaos escalated as Fury and Peggy Carter led the charge against the relentless Hydra forces. Explosions, screams, and the sound of clashing metal filled the corridor. Howard flew forward. His electric whip sliced through a line of charging agents, sending them flying and zapping. Fury fired off a series of shots, each bullet finding its mark. Peggy moved like a shadow between them, her fists and acrobatic strikes taking down any Hydra soldier who dared come close. She even took some bullets to save the other SHIELD agents. Then her regeneration kicked in. She was as good as new. Amid the battle, a woman in a matte black stealth suit zipped through the hole in the hull where Peggy crashed earlier. Her suit's active invisibility mode rendered her completely undetectable as she moved silently through the chaos. Inside the containment chamber, the symbiote writhed violently behind reinforced blast-proof glass, its dark, amorphous form pulsating as if aware of the impending change. The intruder's gloved hand flicked two compact devices, temporarily disabling the security alarms on the glass and creating a holographic projection, to prevent them from noticing her opening the containment glass and stealing the symbiote. As soon as she opened the main glass door, the symbiote lunged at her, but she was ready. Before the symbiote could latch onto her, a square-shaped blue energy field appeared around it. She quickly put her palm over it. The nanites rushed out, forming a tiny containment box over the energy box. It lashed, trying to get out, but the energy box held strong. With her mission completed, she retraced her path to the hole in the hull. In an almost ghost-like manner, she slipped away into the darkness, leaving no trace of her presence except for the holographic device which will self-destruct in a few minutes. Meanwhile, Tony's lab. Tony slammed his fist on the table, grinning like a madman. Holy hell, that was beautiful. The holographic displays surrounding him flickered with live feeds from Howard's suit. The battle was still raging on the helicarrier, but it didn't matter. Milena had already slipped away, undetected. Hydra, SHIELD, even Peggy Carter herself, none of them had a damn clue. He leaned back in his chair, watching the playback of the extraction. Slowing it down, frame by frame, he admired the perfection of how Milena neutralized the alarms, the seamless way she contained the symbiote and her effortless escape through the breach. Right under Fury's big damn nose, Tony chuckled, shaking his head. God, I love it when a plan comes together. Really now? Yelena, sitting beside him, raised an eyebrow. What? I knew S.H.I.E.L.D. was hiding something, that's why I had Milena follow Dad, just never thought it'd be a freaking symbiote of all things, he replied, leaning back. What's a symbiote? Judging from how those Hydra agents were throwing everything, it must be something dangerous, right? She asked out of curiosity. Dangerous? Well, more than dangerous. And the one who created it. Let's just say, it's a threat even I won't be able to face right now, Tony sighed. So? Yelena raised an eyebrow. That thing being on Earth, yup. Not a good sign. Hopefully, we might be lucky, he gave a side nod. Null. Just stay asleep, please. Yelena crossed her arms and leaned back in the chair, staring at the holographic screen in front of her. The battle footage from Howard's suit played in a loop, showing the Hydra agent storming the containment area. Every movement, every detail was being analyzed. She let out a breath. You took down Madam Hydra. You wiped out Zola's AI. Every Hydra facility, every hidden cell. You found them all and burned them to the ground. And still. She gestured toward the screen. They're here. Organized. Prepared. Someone is pulling the strings. Hydra grew a new head. Tony tapped a few commands into the holographic keyboard, eyes scanning the data scrolling past. Maybe. He frowned. Or maybe we're dealing with something else. Yelena raised an eyebrow. They had Hydra symbols all over their gear. If they're not Hydra, then who are they? Tony leaned forward. That's the problem. Just because they wear Hydra's colors, use Hydra's tactics, and scream, "Hail Hydra," like a bunch of lunatics, doesn't mean they are Hydra. He pointed at the screen. Look at their weapons. Their gear. Their numbers. Some of them fought like trained soldiers, sure, but others? Sloppy. Uncoordinated. That's not Hydra. Yelena frowned. You think it's a copycat group? Tony nodded. It makes sense. If the real Hydra is gone, someone could be using their name to scare people. Hydra had power, history, and resources. A new player trying to rise up? Pretending to be them? That would be a smart move. He waved his hand, and a new set of data appeared. Dad's suit recorded everything, every weapon, every face, every move. Let's see what we're really dealing with. Hermes, run a quick scan. Affirmative, a series of images popped up. Guns, armor, combat tactics, even retina scans. The system started analyzing them one by one. The results were surprising, sir. They have no digital records. Clean, Tony muttered, eyes narrowing. No records. No criminal history. No military background. Nothing. It's like they don't exist. Yelena leaned closer. That's not possible. Nobody pulls off an attack like that without leaving a trace. Exactly, Tony said. Which means someone went to a lot of trouble to wipe their records. Hermes spoke up. One anomaly detected. A new image appeared on the screen. A close-up of a handgun recovered from the battle. It was standard military issue, nothing fancy. But the serial number told a different story. Tony's eyes lit up. Bingo. Yelena leaned in. What? He enlarged the weapon's details. This gun. It was registered to Oscorp. For a second, there was silence. Then Yelena frowned. Wait. Oscorp? The tech company Ross is collaborating with? The very same, Tony said, rubbing his chin. That means either someone at Oscorp is arming these guys, or Oscorp is these guys. Yelena sat back. So, what now? Tony grinned. Now, things just got a whole lot more interesting. He knew about the fact that Norman was trying to create his own version of SSS with government funds in secret, thanks to his past life's knowledge. With Ross involved, he was getting more than enough funds and manpower, so, this is how Norman is playing the game, huh? If I were to guess, they somehow got their hands on Hydra's SSS formula and tried to recreate the serum. But the fact is I've no idea which version of Norman this one is. So, there are many variables involved. Tony closed his eyes for a moment, rubbing the corner of his eyes as his thoughts ran wild as usual. Ross knew about the symbiote and wanted it for himself, so he joined hands with Norman, assassinated the World Council leaders, who refused to support them, placed their men in their empty seats, and created this mess. His plan was probably to get Peggy killed, pin the blame on Fury, get government support to his side, and take over S.H.I.E.L.D. That way, Ross would get both the symbiote and S.H.I.E.L.D. And Norman will get to supply weapons and technology. It's a win-win situation for both. However, things went south when Peggy took Tony's serum, reached peak human form, and burst out of her room, looking for answers. Ross had to amp up his plan and at least get the symbiote. So, he openly attacked using Hydra's name and guise, Or, it could be Norman, manipulating Ross to get the symbiote. If this was the game version, then Norman needs the symbiote to fix Harry's disease. Or, he just wants it for experiments. And I've no idea if he took the faulty serum yet. Tony sighed. So, are you going to say something or just think and sigh? Yelena asked. Tony let out a long breath, then turned to Yelena, his expression sharpening. Alright, enough thinking. Time for some action. Yelena raised an eyebrow. Finally. I was starting to think you just wanted to sit here and brood all day. He smiled a little, shaking his head. As much as I love a good brooding session, we've got work to do. I need you to take some of your widows and do what you do best, infiltrate. Yelena's eyes lit up with interest. Now we're talking. Oscorp. And Norman's home, Tony said, pulling up a detailed map of the Oscorp Tower and Osborn's personal residence. I need everything. Every single detail on his company, his personal life, his side projects, everything. If he so much as sneezes in an unusual pattern, I want to know about it. Oh, and look at these black areas. Jammers. I can't get in. So, do plant some bugs while you are at it. She leaned forward, studying the data with a wolfish grin. You really think Osborn is behind this whole mess? Tony crossed his arms. I don't believe in coincidences. Oscorp weapons in the hands of ghost soldiers? Ross backing this whole thing? Hydra's name being used as a distraction? Norman's involved. I just don't know how deep. I need evidence. Yelena cracked her knuckles. Good. I was getting bored of this peaceful lifestyle. Missions keep me sharp. He chuckled. Then this one's gonna keep you razor sharp. Take a widow team, go dark, and dig up everything. If Norman has skeletons in his closet, I want them laid out on my table. Yelena stood up, stretching her arms. Infiltration, espionage, a little breaking and entering? Sounds like a perfect night. Tony nodded. Be careful. Osborn isn't an idiot. He'll have countermeasures. Yelena smirked. We got your suits and our skills. Fair enough, he gave a slight nod. She turned, already sending silent signals to her widow network through her wrist device. Within seconds, encrypted messages were sent, and her best operatives were mobilizing. Tony watched her go, then looked back at the holographic screen. His gut told him they were just scratching the surface of something much bigger, and that was the part that worried him the most. Meanwhile, back on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, the helicarrier groaned under its own weight as it finally stabilized, emergency thrusters kicking in to correct its descent. Smoke still hung in the air, the aftermath of the intense battle against Hydra or whoever they truly were. Howard retracted his energy whips, his armor cooling down after the sustained combat. Fury stood among the fallen agents, scanning the wreckage. Peggy wiped the blood from her lip and checked on the S.H.I.E.L.D. operatives who were still standing. Maria Hill gave a thumbs up, signaling that their forces were back in control. "Well, that was fun," Howard muttered, rolling his shoulders. "Let's not do that again." Fury ignored him, turning toward the containment unit. The reinforced chamber that had once held the symbiote was still standing, but the real problem, the symbiote was gone. "Shit," Fury cursed, moving toward the wreckage. His sharp eyes scanned the scene. "Tell me someone saw what happened here." Hill quickly accessed the security system, but her frown deepened as she tapped through the holographic interface. "Sir, the footage is corrupted. I can't get a clear visual of what happened in the last 5 minutes before the attack ended." Peggy stepped forward, her brows furrowed. "You're saying someone stole the symbiote while we were in the middle of the fight?" "Not just stole it," Howard muttered, running his suit's scanners over the scene. "They took it without leaving a single trace. No DNA, no energy signatures, nothing." Fury's eyes darkened. "That means this wasn't some random Hydra grunt." He turned to Hill. "Get me a list of anyone who boarded the carrier in the last 24 hours. I want names, clearance levels, any suspicious activity, everything." HAA. What a mess. Hill nodded and moved to a nearby console. Peggy glanced at the containment unit. "This thing is too dangerous to be out there. If someone took it, they knew exactly what they were doing." Howard sighed, rubbing his temple. "Great. First, we get ambushed by Hydra. Now we've got a missing alien parasite with enough destructive potential to wipe out a city or the world." A few hours later, Horizon Island, Melina landed before Tony's lab.